hype is real. The hype is real. Wakanda forever. So Olympus is leaving, stealing the 56 ships. And I'm guessing that Standing Kingdom will not be participating in the Reverie. Otherwise, the king would already be there. I think it's hilarious how Olympus, as he's leaving and being shot with cannon fire, he's just like, thank you. Then we go to Whole Cake Island. The cake is still down, and if you look closely at that first panel, you see some lightning falling down on the island, so I'm guessing that could be a hint towards the fact that maybe Big Mom has created another version of Zeus. So maybe she already created another thundercloud. But anyway, before I get into that, whenever I think about the Yonko in real life, whenever I think about Big Mom, I think of Kathleen Kennedy. She is the head of Lucasfilm at Disney. A lot of people hate her right now just because of the way that she's been treating the Star Wars franchise. But I mean, overall, she's a very powerful producer in Hollywood. And then when I think of Kaido, I think of Jason Momoa, all right, from Game of Thrones, and who also plays Aquaman. So I feel like if this conversation in the beginning had taken place in real life, it probably would have gone something like this.
Hey, Kaido! Kaido! Hurry up! Get on Skype!
Yeah! What's up, Mama?
Kaido, you idiot! You owe me a lap dance!
That was a long time ago, woman. Besides, you can't handle these packs.
Now you listen to me, you suicidal behemoth. The Straw Hats came into my domain, and they disrespected the Disney Channel. They have to pay for this, Kaido. Oh, I just remembered. Kaido, do you remember back in the day when we decided to split the road poneglyphs between ourselves so that nobody else would be able to find them? The red ones, Kaido. Do you remember the red ones?
I thought the Gorosei gave us those poneglyphs for safekeeping. You said you were upset because you couldn't eat yours.
Well, I have a very bad feeling about this, Kaido. By the way, did I mention that I still hate you for what you did to me? You owe me a lap dance.
Oh, and people still want to know why I'm going around jumping off of clouds.
Now, Big Mom says that Luffy has something that belongs to her that she wants to get back from him. And in my opinion, there's only 3 options to what that could be. Number 1, it's Zeus. Number 2, it's the poneglyph rubbings. And number 3, it could potentially mean that she wants Sanji back. I'm not gonna lie, that conversation between Big Mom and Kaido in the beginning is probably one of the best One Piece chapter openings that I've read. We go to McDonald's and we see that the Marines have wiretapped the call, so they listen to everything that Big Mom and Kaido were saying, because they straight up don't care. They're like, come at us, like you can't do anything about this. And from right to left, the Marines that we see are Yarisugi, I think it's Yarisugi, Momonga, and then Doberman. Then we find out that Kizaru is potentially going to Wano, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but part 2. I made that joke a while back. You guys saw the review. If you did, I don't know. But Sakazuki Akahino says not yet, because we don't know the strength of the samurai. Because remember, Wano is a closed-off country. They're an isolated thing. We don't really know that much about them. So just to play it safe, I'm going to send in Green Bull as well. That's not confirmed, I'm just making that up, but imagine 2 admirals versus the supernova in Wano. Did I mention that this is probably one of the best setup chapters ever? Anyway, we get this great exposition scene with Garp eating, and there's a couple of Marines that I recognize around him. There's Hina, there's Strawberry, even Django is there as well. But there's 2 that I didn't recognize. I didn't recognize the girl that has a spider tattoo on her leg, so I looked her up, and I found out that her and the guy with the hat are actually fan-made, not fan-made, but fan-suggested characters. What happened was that during an SBS section, fans actually submitted the character names in like a description of them. They were talking about these characters as if they were canon, and then Oda said, okay, fine, I'll make them canon. But the fans wanted them to be admirals, and by then Oda had already decided that the admirals are currently Kizaru, Green Bull, and Fujitora, so he said, I'll make them vice admirals instead. And so he came up with these designs. The first one the girl is called Momosagi. So here she is, Vice Admiral Momosagi. Unfortunately, she just didn't make the cut to be a new admiral, and she is based off of the actress called Michio Kogure. And her name follows the admiral tradition, because remember how admirals have like a color and then an animal associated to them. For her, it's the peach rabbit. And then after that, another fan sent in this. Orachi, hello. Remember when you introduced the sexy dynamite naval admiral Momosagi in the section on page 86 of volume 74? Well, how about this design for Admiral Chaton, brown pig, okay? who asked her out 100 times and got shut down 100 times. And then Oda says, okay, well, since he's not actually an admiral, he must be one of the potential admirals who were in the running along with Momosagi. And so he designs the character, and he's this guy, and you saw him in the chapter, and he's based off of the actor named Kiyoshi Atsumi. Anyhow, then Hina comes in with a dialogue that just confuses the crap out of me. What is going on? What are you saying, Hina? There's two translations, and I'm like, okay, hold up. One translation has Hina starting off talking about Kaido and Big Mom, and then the conversation segues into this character. I'm assuming it's a new character called Rocks or Locks, okay? Hina says that Garp is hailed as the hero of the Marines because of something related to the Rocks or the Locks character. And I was like, okay. But then somebody says before the age of Roger, it was their era. And that, at first I thought that they meant, wait, do you mean that before Roger, it was Big Mom and Kaido's era? Because if that's the case, right? If Kaido and Big Mom did in fact have an era for themselves, that kind of contradicts what we learned from the Ace novel, which states that Whitebeard and Big Mom were kind of like the first generation of Yonko, followed by Shanks and Kaido. So what I think they're saying, what I think they're trying to say is that this character called Locks or Rocks was a top tier back in the day and had some connection with Big Mom and Kaido. Now Hina says that they had lost their captain and they've gotten a lot stronger. I don't know if she's talking about Kaido and Big Mom, because if that's true, then that kind of would also sort of imply that Big Mom and Kaido were sort of like in the same crew together, which is crazy. So what I'm guessing happened during this conversation is that Hina began talking about Locks or Rocks. She made the reference to them because she was reminded of them thanks to Kaido and Big Mom being brought up. So I think she's kind of like introducing this new threat, this brand new character. It could even be like this brand new organization, because the way that Garp talks about them, it's kind of like they're talking about them in plural, like Rocks, Locks. Hina even says even though they've lost their captain, they're getting a lot stronger. So I think this is a brand new entity in the world of One Piece, and that she's not referring to Big Mom and Kaido. So we'll probably get to learn more about Locks from a Garp flashback at some point. We then get introduced to the Empty Throne, which I think was obviously inspired by the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones. We know Oda is a huge Game of Thrones fan. Stelly apparently is in the process of taking a pledge, and I'm guessing that what he has to do is take the sword and just kind of like pin it, just nail it, with the rest of the swords. However, if you look at the way the staircase is built, there's only 20 that are right in front of the throne. So those were the first 20 kingdoms that took the pledge, and I'm guessing that every single king afterward has to nail their weapon, but at the lower level, not at the same level as the chair. So it's a pretty cool tradition, but at the same time, I get the feeling that there's something secret about the throne that we're not aware of yet, that Oda is hiding. Because, I mean, he's given this throne a lot of emphasis in this chapter. So, I don't know, it's just something about it, just kind of like, it feels like there's something beneath the surface of this throne, almost, like a mystery to it. Stelly wants to sit on it, so I wouldn't be surprised if the idiot tries something. The guy who looks like Merlin/Dumbledore says that nobody sits on that throne as a sign of peace, equality, and respect amongst the kingdoms, to signify that no kingdom is superior to any of the other ones. So I thought that was really cool. He also says, though, that the Gorosei are the highest point of authority when it comes to the Celestial Dragons. And I thought that was super interesting because back in Dressrosa, when Dressrosa ended, Akainu was going off on the Gorosei for having lied about Doflamingo resigning from the Shichibukai just because that was part of his scheme. He was telling them, why in the hell does the world have to be turned upside down over scum like Doflamingo? Okay, and that scene made it seem as if Akainu was implying that even the Gorosei had to answer to somebody. So at this point, I kind of get the feeling that the Gorosei are like this committee that was either elected a long time ago or was put in place a long time ago, but that still has to receive feedback from the Celestial Dragons to do their will. So it's kind of like they're the representatives, but they still have to, keep in touch with the Celestial Dragons and understand what's in their best interest. Anyhow, we see that Shirahoshi is being taken away by Carlos. I call him Carlos. It's kind of messed up because Carlos is using a slave to enslave somebody else. I mean, that's literally how the Tenryubito do things. Like, they depend very heavily on slave labor. And you see that the giant that Carlos is giving orders to has the Celestial Dragon mark, which represents, it's the foot of a dragon, the footprint of a dragon. You can see Boa Hancock had this. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of bothers me that Sai was the one restraining Rebecca, telling her not to try anything, especially because he's a member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Leo had to be the one with the balls to just go in there head first and say, like, why is nobody doing anything? Vivi was trying to do something as well. Heck, even Neptune was getting ready to throw some shots. And then you see this foot, right? Just straight out of nowhere. This foot, this technique, this very smooth move knocks Leo down. He's like, oh! Sai gets pushed back. Who is it? Who could it be? And then you get the badom. It's CP0. Stussy and Kaku, I don't know where the rest of CP9 is, led by none other than the Pigeon Man himself, Rob Lucci. The Pigeon Man of few words is back, ready to impose. There's another character with a mask there. We do not know who that is, but he did appear during the Dressrosa arc for a little bit. And it was just great to see Rob. I mean, it was just great. And the thing is, like, Oda could have ended the chapter with that reveal, with him coming back. Just like, you know, that's the cliffhanger for the chapter. But no. I feel like Oda is developing a fetish for Charlie Brown getting punched in the face. I actually compared this panel with the one where Luffy punches him, and it's literally the exact same face. Like, Oda just drew them identically. The Celestial Dragon called Myosgard shows up to club Charlie in the face, so it's kind of like Oda is saying, only another Celestial Dragon can punch a Celestial Dragon in the face without consequences. It turns out that this guy is from the Don Quixote family, so the same family that Doflamingo belongs to, which reminds me of Doflamingo's father and how he used to live in Mariejois but decided to relocate and take his family outside of Mariejois, you know, just to go down and live a normal life with the common folk. So there's an essence of good to some of these Tenryubito, despite how ugly they may seem, which I kind of like it. I think this chapter kind of gives us a little bit more depth to the way of living in the Holy Land, where the throne is not being occupied, so it's not a dictatorship. There's some sense of respect. And then some of the Celestial Dragons aren't as bad as we initially thought they were, so that's kind of cool. Also, just a reminder, Myosgard, his story goes like this. At one point, he had slaves, they ran away, they went back to Fishman Island because the slaves were fishmen, so he decided to take his own ship to try and find them, but his ship received a lot of damage. He was heavily wounded, and it appeared that he was about to die when he arrived at Fishman Island. And what made it worse is that some of his previous slaves, some of the fishmen that he owned, recognized him, and they were about to kill him. But Queen Otohime, Shirahoshi's mom, found out about this and actually protected him, actually stood in between him and the fishmen so that he wouldn't get hurt. So it's kind of like a cool way of showing that everything comes full circle, because Queen Otohime protected the Celestial Dragon, and now that same Celestial Dragon actually protected her daughter, Shirahoshi, from being taken away. That's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already for more One Piece reviews. Comment down below with your thoughts. Catch you guys later. Bye. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? How'd you even get in here? Full security. What is going on? I thought last time you were reading a newspaper at an island praising Luffy. The teletransportation no me in full effect. Hooded in cloak. Because, you know, that might be too distracting. Just having a Yonko walk up to Mariejois. I think he has to know what Dragon is up to. His observation hockey range is way too big for him not to know that something is going on beneath the surface of the Holy Land. He says he's there to talk about a certain pirate. I think it's BS. I think he planned this and he's there to stop the Reverie. I can totally see Dragon and the revolutionary armies making their declaration of war, and then Shanks just comes in between all of them and he's like, I have come to put an end to this Reverie. Now here's the thing, alright? This is not the first time that a pirate has been allowed to enter Mariejois, the Holy Land. In fact, back in the day, after Alabasta, when Crocodile went down, the Shichibukai were summoned to discuss that new opening in the Shichibukai system, in the 7 warlords. And then Lafitte showed up and said, I recommend Blackbeard for that Shichibukai opening, for that Shichibukai position. So it's not unheard of that pirates have been allowed into Mariejois. However, an audience with the Gorosei is a feat that only one has achieved. What kind of dirt does he have on the people that live in the Holy Land that he can show up during a reverie and the Gorosei are like, you know what? Because it's you, we'll hear you out. That is crazy. I mean, there has to be some type of a link between these guys. There has to be some history that ties them together. Does it look sketchy for Shanks to be doing this? Oh, you bet it does. But that's the thing. We know very little about Shanks. Like, who's to say? Maybe he's in on it with Dragon, and Dragon told him, I need you to show up, talk to the Gorosei, keep them distracted as I give my declaration of war. Who is this certain pirate that he's there to talk about? To me, it's either Luffy or Blackbeard. Leaning more heavily towards Blackbeard. He gave me this scar. Why now? That's another question. Why now? Why does he pick now to show up there? Maybe it has something to do with that giant hat that we saw in the previous chapter. It'd be funny if next time we get a conversation between Shanks and the Gorosei that goes along the lines of, you know about the thing, I know about the thing, let's talk about the thing, and then we can get to other things. I can see it now. That line about a certain pirate is going to give way to a bunch of Buggy and Rouge memes. Thank you so much for watching. This was an amazing chapter of One Piece. Best chapter of the year by far. By far. I personally like this one more than 903. Thank you so much for watching. One of the best chapters post-time skip period. Maybe, probably even one of the best chapters in the entire series. Thanks again. Catch you guys later. The hype is real. Wano, Reverie, delivering every single week. Catch you later.
The Straw Hat Boy said he was gunning for you, Kaido. You better stop playing around because the level of plot convenience this kid carries with him is unheard of, Kaido. Hello? Hello? Kaido, you have to pick up the phone.